morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I guess I'm your history teacher for early U.S. history. My name is Zach Godfrey. Today's topic, California Gold Rush. Before we jump into it, I'm going to encourage you to go into your Jefferson textbook published by McGraw-Hill, Chapter 13. That's the Manifest Destiny chapter. Lesson 4. It's titled California and Utah, but today we're going to focus solely on the California Gold Rush. Okay, California Gold Rush. Just want to tell you real quick before we start breaking into the topics. We have somewhat discussed the annexation of Texas when we talked about the Mexican-American War, because kind of a side topic, a side extension of the Mexican-American War was the Bear Flag Revolt that turned into the Bear Flag Republic that was led by General John C. Fremont. So if you need to revisit that, go ahead and take a look at the Mexican-American War lecture, which has been previously posted. Today is going to focus more specifically on the story of the Gold Rush and how that, plus the Bear Flag Revolt Republic, kind of, is early California history and leads into California getting its statehood. Okay, so here we go. First topic, Fort Sutter. This is at the time when Mexico controls California, and we have a Swiss pioneer, and his name is, I think his name is Johann Sutter, but I think most people called him John Sutter. And he made one of those agreements with the Mexican government, kind of similar to Stephen Austin, where essentially he would agree to follow Mexican law, pledge his allegiance to the Mexican government, become a Mexican citizen, and he would have the right to establish a settlement. He establishes his settlement. He likes to call it Fort Sutter. It's a big settlement. It is now located where Sacramento, California is the capital of the state of California and Northern California. So that's the connection to modern day. Fort Sutter is basically Sacramento, which is the capital of California. Now, a connection to the Mexican-American War and the Bear Flag Republic is that when Fremont was marching throughout California, encouraging and organizing the revolt against the Mexicans, the revolt of Americans against the Mexican-American, which was an extension of the Mexican-American War, Fremont did take Fort Sutter and occupy it. From what I understand, though, John Sutter did not resist American occupation. And so that's topic one, Fort Sutter. Okay, topic one, Fort Sutter. Now Sacramento, California. Okay. Topic two, might find some gold. So we've got Fort Sutter. It's a settlement. It's a fort. Part of Fort Sutter, there was a sawmill. They get some lumber. And there was a guy named James Marshall, and he worked for John Sutter. And he's working at the sawmill, and he finds in 1848 a few little nuggets of gold. Obviously, he's going to bring that gold back to Mr. Sutter. There's going to be a lot of change in California. I want to talk about some things prior to that, though, so you can have an idea of what California was like before James Marshall and Sutter found gold, and then after. So before, there was 1,000 maybe Europeans living in California. We don't have exact numbers, but estimated anywhere from 100,000 to 700,000 Native Americans in the region. From 1848 to 1849, the city of San Francisco is going to become the boom town of the gold rush. It's not too far from Fort Sutter / Sacramento. So San Francisco is going to be the boom town of the gold rush. We're going to see its population rise by 1849 to 1,000 people. Most rushers are going to be called 49ers because they're rushing in 1849 to California, like the San Francisco 49ers football team. We're going to see the population from 1849 go from 1,000 people to 1856 going anywhere from 20 to 50,000 people. So a huge growth in the city of San Francisco because of the California gold rush. It's going to create diversity in America. It's going to create diversity on the West Coast. About 20% of the rushers will be foreign immigrants. Interesting side note is there will be about 300 Chinese men that are part of the wave of immigration into California because of the gold rush. And this is going to start the introduction, essentially, of Asian immigrants into America. To this day, culturally, on the Pacific Coast, there is a significant amount of people of Asian heritage. And so that's just geography and demographics and things like that. And that's all because of James Marshall finding a few nuggets of gold outside of Fort Sutter in a sawmill, creating the gold rush, and essentially taking this place where very few people live, very sparsely populated area, and just exploding it because people want to go get some of that gold. All right, so that's topic two. Topic two is we found gold. We found gold. Okay. This is our last topic. This is a quick story today. This is like the overall big picture effects of the California gold rush. It's gonna double the world supply of gold. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Double the whole world supply of gold. Obviously, as we just talked about, it's gonna have a wave of migration. All these people are gonna rush to California to strike it rich. Most aren't. Most aren't at all going to find success. The few that do often like drink and gamble it away, from what I understand. The life of a rusher, of a miner, was very difficult. Lots of hard work. A lot of lonely days and nights. The wave of migration of rushers and miners was almost solely men. So there's not a lot of like opportunity to create or establish families and have that degree of and type of camaraderie. There's no government, there's no infrastructure, so there's no rules basically. It's like the Wild West out there. Most people that are going to have success, and this is just a specific story, but it's a reflective of like a bigger picture, is merchants will be the most successful. So not people that like were like, oh, there's gold there, I'm going to rush there to go get gold, but people that were like, oh, shucks, people are rushing there to find gold. Well, those people are going to need shovels and other types of tools, you know, those pans where you find the gold nuggets in them. I'm not a miner. I don't know all of these things. They're going to need, pants and stuff like that. They're going to need goods. And merchants are going to like, hey, I'm going to go out to that area and I'm going to sell them goods. One of those merchants, his name, let me ask you if this sounds familiar, Levi Strauss. All right, he's a merchant on the East Coast. He goes to the West Coast. He's going to sell goods to the miners. One of the goods he sells is he has this really like tough, durable fabric that can like hold up for days and days and days. It's called denim, and it's kind of like blue. And basically, Levi Strauss kind of like helps make blue jeans, and that's going to be a very prominent piece of attire for miners and pioneersmen out on the West Coast. And his success, obviously, is going to create Levi's, and that's just a reflection of the type of success and growth that we see from people moving to California. Not everybody went there just for the gold. Some people saw other business opportunities, and it created like, a major American business that reflects American culture. So, obviously, eventually society will follow the rushers and the miners. You can't have a bunch of, men out there drinking and gambling with no government and infrastructure forever and ever. Society will follow. California will apply for statehood. Now, remember this, from the Mexican-American War and the Bear Flag Republic, and shucks, even all the way back to the Texas Revolution, we've been talking about this. California was part of Mexico. When Mexico became an independent nation, it banned slavery. Prior to the gold rush, there weren't many people living in California, but those that did, for the most part, followed Mexican law. There's not a culture of slavery in California. After the Bear Flag Republic and after America wins the Mexican-American War and California is added to the Union, when they apply for statehood, they apply to be a free state. Whoa, hold on now. Usually when we're talking about the annexation of states, for example, Texas, they were slave states. And we're like, hey, we can't have too many slave states, versus the balance of power of free states. It's got to be even, Well, now we got a free state, or a supposed state that wants to be free. And it's, of course, going to change the balance. It might not be equal, free, and slave. and it's going to be a controversy. There will be a compromise, the compromise of 1850, that will be made that will allow California to be annexed and get its statehood. And so California will become a state, it will be a free state, and we will talk about that compromise, the compromise of 1850, in the next day or two. You guys are the best. This is the California Gold Rush. Quick little lecture, but we got to squeeze it in, get all that information in, put all the pieces together of America's manifest destiny. I hope you're taking your notes, write your little summary, take your online assignment/assessment, stay active, be nice to your parents, be nice to your friends, your family. All right, love you guys. Peace.